Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone watching us today. I'm here with Markus, CEO at Remark-able. Thank you so much for being with us today and talking about work is not working. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Are you based in Austria?
Yes, in the outskirts of Vienna.
Amazing. I love this country actually, and I visited it so many times. And I would love to finish with the lockdown here in Australia to be able to travel again and meet people all across the globe. And actually, in the meantime, I'm having these chats on Zoom and talking about why work is not working. Obviously, there are so many angles we can tackle here, especially with the experience around customer success. But what is your thought about this big statement, work is not working?
Yeah, it's unfortunately it's true.
Why is that true?
Yeah, from my perspective, I'm a consultant for SaaS companies, helping them to become more customer centric. So yeah, and my area of thought is always how to serve customers better. And I think there are many things about the work of customer success managers and how it's broken, and obviously how that also affects everybody else in the company.
Absolutely. I think customer success is such a topic. I believe that especially with software companies, customer success is like the most strategic part of any business. Why? Because you're actually related to the conversations with the customer. You're talking about your product every day. And if this team or if the customer success manager is not engaged, is not motivated, is not following the vision or agreeing with everything that the company is doing, it's almost like a domino effect on everything else in the business. This is where churn happens. This is where customers are unhappy, complaining, and reviews go bad, etc., etc. So what's your thought on this, and how can we make maybe a better understanding of the situation with customer success and how important it is in the entire ecosystem of work?
Yeah, it's great that you mentioned the domino effect. So from my point of view, the domino effect really starts from really the highest level or really top down. So what I'm seeing in SaaS is all these companies today, they are going crazy about growth. So they try to grow at all costs. And that doesn't only start with the CEOs of the companies, but even higher. So you have these investors, they pour out money, they invest like $100 million into SaaS companies to grow them faster. So, and they are all focused on really the acquisition side of growth, and with, let's say, with terrible effects throughout the whole company. So because what we see these companies do is they hire aggressively for marketers and sales reps. And they really try to sell their product to really each and everybody. So no matter if the customers will really need the product or will see the benefits they want. So it's just selling to meet any short-term sales quotas, which is obviously bullshit to me. So that's one thing that's terribly broken. I mean, what's the point of meeting these quotas when the customer churns a month later or 2 months later? So all you've created are a lot of customer acquisition costs that will never be repaid. So, okay, yeah, you can delight your investors and your board members and show, yeah, we reached our quota again and again and again, but nothing of it is sustainable.
Absolutely. I think it is. Sorry, keep going. I'm starting to build the analysis here and summarizing as well, but keep going.
That's where the domino effect starts. So because of these ridiculous short-term goals, marketers' job is to create a ton of leads. So most of these leads are really bad leads. So they are basically like only contact information. So they put out some blog posts or ebooks, and everybody who downloads it and then types that the name and email address into the form gets contacted and is viewed as a potential lead, but they are not. So they create 10K leads per month, and they convert really with 0.1% or something, which is really bullshit. So, and the next domino is sales. So sales reps, they also have these ridiculous short-term goals, and in order to meet these goals, they really need to, I mean, they have no other option than trying to really sell to everybody. So they know the customer will be a bad fit, and they know the customer will churn soon after, but they have to close the deal because they're under pressure. So, and then the customer success and support teams, they are inheriting these bad fit customers, and their mission is to help them the best way, and especially customer success managers are supposed to make these people successful. But if a customer does not have the right fit, how in hell can you make them successful? So they are struggling all the time with preventing customers from churn when churn is inevitable. And sooner or later, you will burn out.
Wow, I love this. I love this. I should not be saying I love this. It's a very sad reality for so many businesses. And it's absolutely right, especially when the investors, as you said, are pushing for these numbers just for the sake of the growth itself. And I think, obviously, when you're looking at this domino effect, you can imagine there are so many simple solutions to be put in place that help marketing understand the customer better, that they need to be bringing in terms of leads, helping sales actually qualify these ideal customer profiles, but also learning how to say no. No, we are not a good match. No, we should not be working together. No, you should go back to the whiteboard. No, you should go back to using maybe an Excel file instead, because this is not the best solution for you. And then that could help with the customer success team onboarding the unique people, the only customers that are a good fit. But at the same time, I feel like even if you you can still grow by just driving this focus and helping everyone through this domino sequence or chain to feel better about it. But I love how you mentioned this domino effect, but at the end also finish with the burnout itself. Do you see it today as something very often happening, and what are companies doing about it?
Yeah, it frequently happens because it puts everybody under an immense pressure. So everybody has to achieve these goals, and it's so funny. So these SaaS companies always say, yeah, we have these ambitious growth goals, but what they don't realize is that they don't grow faster with this approach. It just appears like, because you get this instant gratification. So you have the number of downloads, the website traffic, the marketing qualified leads, the pipeline, etc., etc. But the thing is, you create all these statistics, you could say,
yeah,
but you don't create results. So
have you seen? Sorry, have you seen actually companies shifting towards maybe growth through the expansion through customer success instead? And in that situation, if you have seen this, do you think the customer success role now is becoming then different?
Yeah, there are basically two different schools of thought, you could say. So one is customer success managers are the churn firefighters. Mm-hmm. That happens in companies, as I've said, who are trying to acquire each and everybody. So they are usually implementing the CS function because churn has really become painful, which is only natural. So and they are really focusing on firefighting churn. So that's their mission. And then you have the other version with companies that say that are more mature, you could call them, where customer success is what it's also, in my opinion, it's a growth function. So in my opinion, it's not about preventing customers from churn. So that should only be, let's say, the low-hanging fruit. But their mission is to make customers successful, to make them more successful until they outgrow their current tiers and buy more resources and pay more. So you're really expanding the customer lifetime value and the account value. So I've come up with two different definitions. So one, unfortunately, the bigger part of SaaS companies by far is companies that are acquisition-led growth. They try to grow as fast and as far as possible by maximizing the number of customers. And my vision is what only a few companies do right now is to maximize the value for the customer and monetize it. because the more value the customers get, the more they will pay you.
Absolutely.
So, and if you also look at up the statistics in SaaS, there is a lot of research going on. You see the tremendous return on investment you can create from existing customers. So I've recently seen a study where it said the best SaaS companies in this survey, they created 1150% return on investment from expansions.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. I mean, 1150%. So and compared to 18%, which was the really the best value companies got from new acquisitions.
Mm-hmm. That's the NRR, the net revenue retention, or actually the NDR, net dollar retention, that a lot of, actually we see it happening now, especially with investors looking at this number more and more often, saying, what is your NRR? What is your NDR? And Twilios of the world, the Snowflake of the world, they are actually, as you said, or Slack of the world, are at 140% or 150%. So, okay, let's actually talk maybe about the solution. So we're speaking about the bad fit, the good fit of customers. We're speaking about churn firefighters versus growth hunters and growth farmers, whatever we want to call them. What are the ultimate recipe, or what are the main ingredients for a successful company that cascades down all of this, maybe let's say successful decisions to keep your customers engaged, but also to keep your employees in customer success engaged and not burning out?
So as the problem starts top down, also the solution needs to start top down. So it's absolutely necessary for CEOs or even investors to create the right behavior throughout the company. So if the CEO does not buy into the vision of creating a sustainable and healthy business, so no one else will. So if they keep continue this pressure top down for all the people to meet their ridiculous goals they have now, there will be no change. So, and I'm also not that optimistic that we will see a lot of change until the bubble bursts. So I'm absolutely convinced SaaS is a big bubble. So when you see all these investments and valuations, it's just crazy. Yeah, you have companies with 100 million ARR, which is incredible, yes, but they're valued at 5 billion. I mean, how in hell can they be valued with 5 billion? If I buy this company, where is my return on investment for this company until it's repaid? Because most of these companies, they don't generate even any profits. So you see these companies, and yeah, you read a lot about these companies. They are all famous, but if you look at the P&L, you see they are creating huge losses. So they are losing like 25 million per year. So it's nothing where you could say, okay, if the company wants, they can be profitable within the next year. It that doesn't happen. So there are really, to me, there are so many, you could really call them zombie companies that really rely on the next funding round. So if there's no other funding round, or if the company is not sold, they won't survive. And we are talking about companies that create hundreds of millions in revenue per year.
So I wanted to talk about two things out of this, because I think there are so much we can unpack here. The first one is maybe based on the things that you mentioned. What are companies that inspire you today and if you think are doing it very well and doing it right? We spoke about the NRR, obviously, but give us maybe a couple of examples that don't have this problem and still are growing, still are participating into something very meaningful for the people that are using the software.
Yeah, so I mean, the most important KPI to me to discover whether a company is really focused on long-term growth or just after achieving short-term goals is the NRR. Mm-hmm. So, and to me, the most fascinating companies to watch are those who have already achieved a high NRR, like Twilio or Slack you've mentioned, or Datadog, I think. Mm-hmm. So these are the companies who really provide value to the customers, because it's simple. The only way to get your NRR beyond 100%, and like these companies get it beyond 140, 150%, is because they deliver value to the customers.
Absolutely.
So the customers, they buy in, they commit, they really integrate these products into their their process and organization.
Absolutely.
So it's not for them. I mean, in theory, you could exchange these products any day, because in every space there are dozens of competitors, but their customers really build on their solutions. So they
I was going to ask you about this actually.
Workflows. So
I was going to ask you about this part actually. Sorry, we have some lag now. We have some lag, and keep going, because actually I was exactly asking about this.
Okay. Yes. So yeah, there are companies like unfortunately it's night and day. So some companies really, they just acquire customers and care really little about what happens after the sale, and other companies who really have, let's say, they really try to delight their customers. I mean, everybody is saying we focus on the customers, we put the customer front and center of the business, but for most it's just marketing speech, because you have to say it. But it's a huge difference between saying it and doing it. And also, if you shift from this quantity oriented to a quality oriented mindset, also work for the people in the company becomes more enjoyable, because they no longer have to follow these quantity based goals, these wasteful goals. So if you're a marketer and you have to create 10K leads per month, you will do everything what it takes to get there, but the work you do will be of low quality. But if that changes, you can really put out your best work. So instead of creating generic content, you can really create what you could call thought leadership content, or start building it. So you really go more in depth into customer problems. So into solving valuable customer problems. So you may only get in front of 1K potential lead instead of 10K potential leads. But these are the people who are really interested in your product, and people who really have a valuable problem to solve. So they say, okay, we have this problem. There are a lot of supposed solutions out there, but nothing works for us, because nothing goes as deep enough as we needed. So you create far less leads, but it's far more likely that they will become your customers, because these are the customers who have high demands, and you are the only provider of the quality they need.
Amazing. So we're saying here that obviously through the chat today, we're saying focus on the right customers, try to bring high quality, ideal customer profiles rather than just everyone through the funnel. That's for marketing, and build the content that attracts these people over actually general content for everyone. We're saying to sales to be able to say no, because not every customer is a good fit, and that's totally fine. We're telling CEOs to better understand the dynamics of growth and focus much more on the expansion of customers rather than just the immediate value that we can get through a first check through sales. And we're telling customer success managers maybe to be really focusing on the quality conversations, more on the strategic level rather than just the technical level, to help customers get more value. And with value comes expansion, and comes renewal, and comes happiness, and comes actually referral of these customers. Am I summarizing well?
Yes, absolutely fine.
Amazing. So
yes, to me, selling the product in SaaS is just getting the foot into the door. So because it's the most expensive growth lever, and the real value comes afterwards. So it's also an open secret. So every statistic says that the most of revenue in SaaS comes after the initial purchase. So it varies between 75 and 90%, depending on what paper you read. But still, it's where the real growth lies. So if you can't retain your customers, you don't have a SaaS business, because that's how it works.
Absolutely. I think the cost of acquisition is, I believe, 50 to 60% higher than cost of retention, or actually the monetization itself, which is where we're talking about like the expansion. So companies need to shift towards something that is value-based, customer-focused, but as you said before, doing the customer obsession and not just talking about it. Any last thoughts you want to share before we finish with this chat?
So most importantly, customer success is not the responsibility of a single team. To me, every business, at least in B2B, exists to make their customers more successful. And if you're part of this company, you're part of customer success. So whether you're a marketer, in sales, product developer, your job is to make customers more successful. The only difference is what you're contributing to it. So to me, customer success starts with talking to the right people, trying to attract the right people. So people who come with the right expectations, people who have the right fit, people who have sufficient success potential. So it is not just like that. So customers buy your product and magically become super successful with it. So you have to work with it with your customer success team, but also there need to be some basic requirements from the companies, from the customer side. So if they don't have the right culture, or if they have different goals, so there's no point in selling the product to these customers, because really, I can't emphasize it often enough, churn is inevitable. If customers don't succeed, they will churn. There are really only two outcomes. Customers are successful, and then you will retain and possibly grow. If they are not successful, they will leave. There is no other option. So maybe you have some delay, but they will churn only 3 months after the purchase. But still, it doesn't change the outcome. Success or no success. So it's really, I wouldn't say 50-50, but there are only two options. And if you have the wrong customers on board, you've only spent a lot of money on acquiring inevitable churn. So that's the reality.
Yeah, I agree.
If you focus on acquiring the right customers, then you have the opportunity to keep these customers and grow these customers and really create the profit.
Amazing. So I think as a summary, maybe we should say that create a customer success culture and not just a customer success team. Customer success is the job of everyone in the business. And I hope that every CEO hearing us today, every investor, every customer success manager or sales or marketer will take so much insight from this conversation. Thank you so much, Markus, for this time. And I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.